Well, time being 7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order with roll call.
Turn on your mics. I'm gonna call Craig and have him involved in the start.
Okay.
So I won't have to bother John. And it's gonna be right here. Just a second. Am I as prepared as I thought I was?
Hello.
Hello, Craig. This is Pat Garrity
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah.
We are one short of a quorum. Would you be willing to join us?
Well, by phone, yeah.
Okay, you're on. I got you on speaker.
Okay.
Okay, so Paul will take over. We're gonna start, we'll approve the minutes, and then we'll go into the hearing.
Okay, I'll put you on speaker and grab the
Okay.
packet off of the
That'd be,
table over here.
okay. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, let me get you on speaker.
Okay, so everybody hears him?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
Yeah, good.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Craig.
I suppose we'll have to have roll call first, Pat.
Okay. Casey Cruz. Kevin Kirchman.
Here.
Ray F. Yep. Craig Hansen.
Here?
David Healy.
Here.
Frank Rollick. John Gunderson. Paul Duman.
Here.
Quorum present with Craig present on phone.
Okay. Okay, then, next item on the agenda is approval of the meeting minutes from May 22nd of 2018. Look them over when somebody's ready to make a motion.
I'd make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Kevin
Kevin.
Kirschman, yeah. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Second by Ray Epp. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Minutes stand approved as read. Okay, it is 7:08, and our first applicant is the Nelson Family Partnership. Applicant is requesting a drainage permit to install tile drainage in Yankton County. Said property is legally described as the south one half of the northwest one quarter, the northwest one quarter, or of the northwest one quarter, section 32, township 94 north, range 55 west, and Jim Lane tract number 1, northeast one quarter of the northwest one quarter, section 32, township 94 north, range 55 west, and the south one half of the northwest one quarter of section 32, township 94 north, range 55 west, and the north 229 feet of the south one half of the northwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, and the south 266 feet of the north one half of the northwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, section 32, township 94 north, range 55 west, and the north half of the southwest one quarter, except the north 229 feet of the south one half of the northwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, and except the south 266 feet of the north half of the northwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, and the southwest one quarter of the southwest one quarter, except lots A and B, Thieman's Addition, section 32, township 94 north, range 55 west, hereinafter referred to as Mission Hill Township North, county of Yankton, state of South Dakota. Okay, that's a tongueful. Is there someone here to speak for the project?
I'm Daryl Nelson, Yankton address here. There is some existing tile in our property that comes down through the main draw there and goes into Jim Lane's 2 ponds there. It was installed right after the Keystone Pipeline, which I believe was 2009. Those ponds have absorbed everything we've sent it to the best of my ability. And the only time I'm aware of any water has come through those ponds is when we had the storms here in the last month, in the month of June. And in order to get, let me see here. Right there's two ponds. I've got satellite maps from about 10 years. The ponds absorb the water, seldom run over. Like I say, it takes a pretty good storm flow for it to run over. And I guess in order for me to get the water from my land to the blue line, I intend to bury a pipe starting there with a French drain and going north and discharging it in the blue line on Jim's property. And that would be, my proposal is for a 12-inch non-perforated pipe there. It's relatively flat. We don't need to drain anything down there. It's probably overkill by two sizes, but it's a very narrow pass there, so it's not like I'm gonna come beside it and put another pipe if I would undersize it, so I just will get it over with right away. The guy can always throttle it down, so it's what, I guess I've got the easement from Jim here to get it to the blue line, so.
Your intent is to drain those two ponds and?
No, we're gonna add water to the ponds, but whatever overflows the ponds is still got to have a path to the blue line.
Okay.
Unless you guys don't require me to do it, but it's kind of been the way the permits have been approved in the past. Jim likes wildlife, so he wants water in his ponds, so.
Okay, those ponds are on Jim's land.
Yeah, on Jim's land, he's right there. Our land would end right here. And my discharges will be all the way around this rough ground here. And I intend to run it over the top on mine and into his, and if that don't work down the road, we can worry about putting in a culvert then. But we've had pretty good trial and error for nine years on the setup already, so.
So you're just gonna bring the tile lines to a ditch?
I will bring all the tile lines to various areas here. There'll be some stuff here that'll discharge here. There's already a discharge down in here from this tile line. I'm gonna be bringing some around from over in here and over in here to a discharge here, and then one more here. So it's just a natural draw grass waterway.
Outlets then, so
Yeah,
you're
that's hay land here. We do not farm right in there, about 10 acres.
And the
pretty-
dotted lines here are existing?
Existing tiles, yes. It's a fairly complicated project. There's two pipelines buried in there, both KNEB and TransCanada, and getting over, around, and every which way. So
Yeah, where are they at?
TransCanada is right through the middle.
Oh,
And KNEB goes at an angle like this, and they cross over right in there.
huh. How deep are they?
TransCanada is pretty deep, KNEB's pretty shallow.
It should be 4 feet to the top.
Yeah, there's places they say they're only 2.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they say look out around it, so. They're very aware that they're too shallow in places. And
So they
I,
mark that, or how do they oversee that?
oh, believe me, they'll be watching.
That's what I would,
They're outside if you cross those lines.
yeah.
You want to get TransCanada excited, park a backhoe on their pipeline, and they'll be calling you pretty fast.
They don't answer. They will. KNAB will do.
Well, I think they fly the TransCanada every 2 weeks, I believe, so. They helped me cross it once already there. And I don't know, we'll worry about when we get there, because it's going to be kind of trial and error to get the tiles to go through where I want to. Actually, that spot right there, I'm blaming a wet spot there on the Keystone pipeline, in spite of the fact it's 400 feet away. But I think the water's following the pipeline both ways down to the draw and working its way out there. They don't want to believe me, but I never had problems farming that spot until 5 years after the pipeline came through.
Interesting.
If there was ever a leak, is there a way to shut off these tile or something so we don't get water going down the Jim River with oil in it?
A leak,
What, can I just speak to that?
yeah.
I mean,
I need to get,
Come up here and speak.
okay.
Yeah, if Jim wants to take over, go ahead. But I should be above Keystone,
okay.
so that shouldn't be a problem, I wouldn't think. I'm already above them, they will permit you to go over.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll,
That water's draining anyway. If there's water in the tile, there's water in the ground.
yeah, but I mean, if a oil leak would happen, that's gonna affect the tile.
Would the oil leak get in a tile?
Pardon me?
Would the oil leak get in a tile?
If anything leaks up there, it's gonna go right down into my ground. Do I need to get stated for the record?
Yeah.
Jim Lane, you take addresses and everything, or just? Okay. And that's my property there. If you can see where the ponds are, right there, there's two of them. And this, wait, I hope you guys can kind of understand here, right from here down through those dams, that's the natural drainage. It's always been there. It drops in elevation from their field over here to down there, probably what, about 50, 60 feet, something like that. It's a very undeniable drainage, okay? It's not, it was there before any of us were, and it's gonna be taking water afterwards. Nothing they're doing is changing that, except they've got a few little basins up here in those fields. They're not like cattails or anything. They're really the picture of a frequently farmed wetland, but their corn's a little yellow this year in those spots. By tiling them, they're not increasing the flow. The total amount of water off that ground, okay? When I built those ponds, they were designed with this basin. You measure out the area that's gonna flow into there, and then you size your pond by the surface area and the depth to handle, have the correct capacity for what's gonna come out of a drainage area that big. So that's what was done there. And then, I did that in '92, I believe, and then, there was always a dam there before that, and that was silted in. And I diverted the flow, and after it dried up, I dug that out and gave it a little more capacity. So there's two structures there that'll capture just every bit of this flow before it gets off my ground, which is what I'm kind of after. I'm in favor of this mainly because right now, when those little basins up there, those little wetlands, when they get saturated and we get rains like we have, then you get the surface water with whatever chemical residue, fertilizer, whatever. But if you can drop that water table down just a couple feet in those areas, you've got a little absorbency there. It'll take some of that, and then it'll collect it when we get these heavy rains and release it more slowly through the tile. So I guess my point of all that is they're not changing anything from the way it's always been, and the water won't get anywhere except for into my ponds, except in a really extreme circumstance. Like this year, we're about double for the year right now. We had 13 inches of rain in June, and like Daryl said, that's one of the few times in the last 20 years that the spillways have overtopped on those earthen dams. And they just did it for a period like overnight. Then the trickle tubes ran for 2 or 3 days, and that's it. And after that, I'm retaining all that water there. And that, anything they do, really, I don't know if it'll change that at all. It'll change the amount of flow a little bit, you know, it might help it by stretching it out further, you know what I'm saying? It holds it up there a little longer and it flows through the tile longer. But if I do see a market increase where I could put another dam in down there, I'll probably do that. But as far as any impacts, you know, all the water that comes down that draw has always flowed into that creek. The tile they're talking about installing on my property is just so that they can say any excess is going to the creek and it's not traveling over the surface to any other property. So that's the purpose of the tile on my ground. I can't really speak to everything they've got planned up there in the field, but like I said, you're not increasing the amount of flow in any direction that doesn't already go. And if any of you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
We don't have a copy of the easement
We do.
in here. You do, okay.
Pass this around. This is, we got it completed as we were.
Okay.
You can just look it up.
So Daryl, is there like a inlet
Just so that-
at the bottom of the spillway here? How exactly are you getting it into that pipe there then?
French drain.
That's where I'm planning on installing a French drain,
Okay, so the French drain will take it
which is basically a rock bed over pipes.
over, okay.
Yeah, we-
Like perforated, pipe covered with rock that, you know, so it can
Look,
just flow.
Okay, you're gonna like it put a pattern there?
I've never built one before, but we're gonna research it a little bit. It should work, and that way we don't have to worry about anything ever getting in there and lodging in the culvert.
Yeah, sure.
That'll
sure.
only kick in if the dams overflow, correct?
Right, and
Right.
like I said, that happens very infrequently. It's sized up enough that it really happens most of it. Like I said, given this year is about your best example, and it happened once that overtopped the spillways for a brief period, just like overnight. And then it did let some water trickle through for like 60 days. And I don't know if that's a 100-year flood or a 200-year flood or whatever, but it's pretty good.
What do you mean by a trickle tube there then?
Okay, you've got Earthen Dam, and a portion of it is lowered
Typically
to
your
allow a
spill-
big flow to go through.
Yeah, your spillway
And
normally
then
takes.
a couple feet
Jim?
below that, you put a trickle
You
tube.
should get up there so we can get you on TV too now.
Okay. Earthen Dam, you know, you've got a lower spillway here that allows any flows to go through without overtopping the whole thing.
Right.
And a tube is just a culvert going through at an elevation a couple feet lower than
You got
that.
actually lower than.
It gives you a
than the
little,
spillway.
a couple feet of freeboard,
Okay.
and, you know, that way it isn't always cutting through your earthen spillway. And it's worked really well.
Yeah. The dams we built, the tube is actually higher than the spillway.
Yeah, that's backwards.
Spillway's kind of an emergency when the tube won't
Right.
take it fast enough.
Right.
It will go
See,
down.
this is
Spillway.
for like, if you're gonna have a lot of water there for a long time, instead of having it flow through the spillway, it just goes through this metal culvert and it doesn't cut any of the
Yeah.
vegetation away.
Right. You don't want that spillway washing away.
No, if we ever get into a circumstance where that happens out there, those ponds will be the least of our worries, because it would take a lot.
Okay, anybody else have any other questions for, I guess, Daryl or Jim? Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the project? Hearing none, is there anybody that would like to speak against the project? Or other comments? Hearing none, we'll close the public portion and we'll go to we'll discuss it amongst the board here. We need to look over at section 3.09 and 3.1.
I can help you with that. If you have any other, does the board want to discuss anything? You've got the easement there, David has it there, Ray will see it there. We have good easement put together.
I have a question on the easement.
Okay,
The easement is to install, survey and install tile from the outlet down, from the dam down. Does it have to include the water
This-
flowing through the natural drain into the dugouts? Or is that fine because they're outletting it in their own?
it's I'm, I guess, more concerned with the outlet than the surface drainage, although, which acknowledgement that the outlet is coming off on that property there, I guess, kind of de facto allowed the surface drainage. It's a good question. What do you two think? And again, why'd you come up?
'Cause sometimes if it flows into somebody else's.
Right, and that, I understand exactly what you're saying. This was written specifically to address the installation of that tile, you know, that's the attachment A. But the wording there does say ingress and egress along with the installation and reclamation and all that. And I take that to be the ingress of the water, you know? And like I said, you really can't say that they're increasing the flow off that ground.
Existing tile runs down there now anyway.
Well, the whole drainage comes there right now. So they might change the rate or the timing of the flow, but they're not going to increase it or anything.
Yeah, Kevin's got, it's not now that easement for, you know.
Right, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not us.
I
It's
get
just to
that.
protect you guys. If
And
it's
so.
Right.
it's okay, then it's fine.
Should there be, you know, for the drainage board, you know, just a sentence in there clarifying that the surface drainage as it enters the property is, like you said,
Yeah, if-
ingress, egress, but I'm not so sure I word that right now. but
Yeah,
where does that
you
make
know,
sense?
I was just following the template you gave
Sure.
me.
Yeah.
If you want some wording like that, let us know. We can sure alter that easement to address that, but, I mean, it's getting off his property onto mine.
On
That's,
surface.
like I said, that's a pretty undeniable drainage
Yeah,
there.
I know, but it's kind of, it is hard to deny it.
It's not a blue line, but it's almost a blue line.
Well, in a sense, I mean, we're just acknowledging that you know how we're gonna get it to the blue line there, is what the easement's for. But he does have a point when you take a look, surface drainage, do we have I guess we do have some easements. We did one for Mr. DeYoung and Mr. Zimmerman when we did the surface drainage after after DeYoung's property, it went across Zimmerman's on the surface. That's what
Well,
the easement said.
this easement is for the pipe on my property.
Yeah.
But it's going to be used for the drainage permit for the tile on their property, right?
Yeah.
So just attaching it to that permit is an acknowledgement of the work they're doing, right?
Yep.
That's the way I'd look at it, but I don't know, whatever you guys
Long term, it
need.
maybe wouldn't be bad to have that easement because it's so close to Yankton.
Sure.
If it ever gets to be development or something that,
Yeah, well, one thing I will tell you is we can't change that flowing, you know, you know what I'm saying, you know, what you, but,
Maybe it won't hurt to have just an acknowledgement of surface drainage in addition to the rest of it's all there.
can you think of an example of the type of wording, you know, we're looking for like one pretty concise line of,
How about?
I'm acknowledging that the flow off of his ground, I'm not sure how you'd word that.
The ingress. The ingress is surface.
Right,
The egress is tile.
right,
That's what we're gonna say.
okay.
And whether we say it at the beginning when it says the ingress on this, out there, surface, egress, tile.
Okay.
Almost in parentheses. Let's look at that again.
Yeah, come here.
Just add that to it.
Okay, does that make sense, Ray? So it is our template, and our template has been doing this, and so then we have these different things there. So then, with the right to, with the easement, looking at ingress, egress. Got you losing right away.
You bring out the hammer and hit me on the head, it won't affect me at all.
It's an easement area. Here we go. With the minimum necessary right-of-way ingress, which we can put right there, then paragraph surface, and egress, or I mean parentheses surface, and egress, parentheses tile,
Okay.
would lay that out clearly when we're
Okay.
looking at the site plan.
Yeah, mark one up and we'll get
Okay.
it signed for you.
So that, and then even if we massage that a little bit more, would the board still be, we're making sure that ingress is surface and egress is tile, even if we work on the wordsmithing a little bit more? Right now, we're just thinking, put a paragraph right behind each of those in the easement, but Jim has a way of looking at this a lot more than the average Joe does, so he may figure out another way to say it. Would that be all right, though, as long as we're acknowledging it? Okay,
I think it helps acknowledge that the water's from the tile system is getting to the blue line.
okay, and then we'll work on that for the drainage board.
Okay.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the board? Craig, you still there?
Yep.
Very good. I hear you can't run off very well.
No, I can't speed of anything right now.
Well, glad to have you here. Okay, would you like me to go through the findings, Paul?
Yeah, if you would.
Okay, so I'm gonna do a bit brief since we had a pretty elementary application here, but just going down 301, number 1, the flow or the quantity of the water, we're agreeable that that is manageable and that the capacity is there for that and the water course. Okay, are we agreeable? It's just not heads or something? The drainage will not flood or adversely affect any of the properties or the low property owners, we're agreeable?
Yep.
Okay. Easements will be granted where required, and we just discussed just a little bit of a detail as far as surface and tile. So ingress is surface, egress will be tile. We'll get that on the easement for the drainage board review for the final. Is that correct?
Good.
Yep.
The drainage will not negatively affect agricultural productivity, correct?
Correct.
The land affected and land to drain is and remain rural in character.
Correct. Yeah.
When the land is to be drained, it will follow the SDCL 48 or 46A-10A-20 will be satisfied, which is saying, you know, the water rights under codified law, okay?
Yep.
Adequate precautions have been taken to ensure roadways are not negatively impacted, but we don't have any in this application. Okay, so not applicable. Okay, so we'll go down to section 310 then. So we do feel confident that the receiving water courses will be able to handle this project.
Correct.
Number 2, we do, it is a reasonable improvement and it should be reasonable in carrying capacity
Yep.
in the project, okay? The amount of water to be proposed to be drained is evident,
Yep.
okay? Design and other physical aspects of the drain fits what we need, okay? Impact of sustained flows. We've had some testimony from the landowner that would be downstream about that, so we seem to have that, we know what that is, and that was manageable, okay? Okay, those are the findings. So those findings there I'll put down as positive as that we have the capacity and we know what the flow is and the design of the system is reasonable.
Yep.
Okay, any other comments? Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion, or is anybody ready to make a motion?
It looks like a good project, so I motion that we approve the Nelson Family Partnership drainage application.
Okay, we have a motion by Ray. Yep. Second by Dave Healy. Voice vote when you're ready.
You can roll call, but,
Or yeah, roll call vote.
Al?
Yep.
Approval? Healy?
Yes.
Kirchman?
Yep.
Hanson?
Yes.
Boomer?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. I kinda like that idea of them ponds down there. I mean, if there ever is an oil spill, it's gonna catch there.